What's up, guys? I'm gonna hit up Bitcoin with a little bit of some TA, and then I'm gonna go into EGLD as well because that's one that I've been following the most. I have some buy orders set, and I wanted to show you guys my idea on how this could be playing out or how it could play out, what some levels that we could buy at potentially, and how everything is looking. So something that I was talking about last night was I was getting into a short at 21,582 area, 562, and it was up because of all these wicks here seem to be testing the same area. But then overnight we ended up getting a wick up into this range, and I got stopped out at 21,640 for a $50 loss or so, and it wicked all the way up here to 21,884, and that ended up confirming a different thesis that I have here, where this is wick number one that got sold off completely, this is wick number two that got sold off, and this was the third wick. Now we had this uptrending support here that I was kind of watching originally, which was this wicking, this wick, and these two wicks, and then this last time when we wicked here, ripped up here, this was confirming that support and resistance with this spinning top. That's what those things are really good for, is you can find that exact bottom and top of the support and resistance. So then we ended up breaking down here, and so far we have broken from this rising wedge. So this is something I actually ended up re-adding a short position in at this 21,450 area here, and then I added some more up in this range here, because what we did here was we were starting to reject pretty hard, came down, and then we continued remaining low between all of these wicks here in line. So I was like, you know what, if it's going to flip to resistance where the same trend was, I think this is tight enough in this wedge here, looking at this as an overall bigger wedge here between all of this. We're getting so tight, a move needs to happen. It tried to happen, rejected, that's it for me. So I did enter a short, and then we came back up. We back tested it as resistance. I added more up in this range, and now we've been falling since. So now right now I'm looking for a potential little bounce here, because we can see that we did have some wicks right in this point. You know, there was some consolidation in this area here. So overall, this could, you know, potentially get a reaction somewhere in this range. But until that really gets broken here, roughly in this 20,800 area, you're not going to see much further downside. But once this breaks, that should pretty much confirm some further downside, not only because of that, but if you actually were looking at this overall thing here as a potential, you know, inverse head and shoulders of some sort, I mean, I guess that could still confirm some further downside, which also leads me to believe that we will come further down here, because most traders right now seem to be watching this potential inverse head and shoulders that probably shows up a little more clear on the 4-hour trend. If we were to draw this in here as an inverse head and shoulders, we would be looking at, you know, that's what most traders right now I've been watching and listening to are looking at. I'm not really sold on that, but if it did play out, we'd be looking at something like this, which would confirm the neckline right here. So I'm kind of looking for that to break, and then that'll pretty much, you know, make everybody go, oh shit, this is definitely not an inverse head and shoulders, and then boom, drops down. So as far as this, the target of a rising wedge usually targets the bottom, which would be down at this 19,781. I think that would look pretty good if we did come down there, even if it takes a little bit of chopping around here before potentially getting another bounce up into this range and trying to retest it again. It would look really, really weird, but you never know. This thing could just continue like that. If this low does break again, it's definitely going to signal another bottom. I mean, another another drop down into these lows. And personally, I don't think that it would hold if it did come down in here. So, you know, we did fail so far to make another higher high, because in order to actually start breaking this downtrend a little bit, we'd want to get into this range here of this 24K. If we could break up in that range, then, you know, the trends could start looking like it's going to come back up, because the way that we fell out of this shows there's like no resistance above 23,300 roughly. So if we could get up here and start confirming up in this range, we could see a pretty good rally up, at least to retest this larger, this larger flag that we kind of had right here in this range. But right now for me, it's not looking like we're going to head up there. Just going down to the hourly for the hell of it. We're still just kind of chopping around. We have been putting in some lows right here at 20,970. So that is looking like it may try to get a bounce here. You can see on the 15-minute, but overall, I still believe that unless we can get back above this 21.5, 21.420 area here, this thing's just going to continue on dropping, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, it doesn't look as bullish to me as EGLD. Sorry, fat fingers here. So EGLD, this is something that I've been charting quite a bit. I did make a video on it, pretty recently, because I was looking at this as a double bottom pattern right here with the neckline that we are confirming as support. 4 hour shows it even more, even more better. But there's the double bottom. Technically, the neckline was right here, if you think about it like that. But I was like chalking it up to up here, mainly because of the support we were holding here. But unfortunately, we ended up double tapping up in where I put this green box of heavy resistance. And this was pretty much just where we chopped around here. We got a bounce up in this range, and that was pretty much it. I mean, it shouldn't have been too hard to break, but unfortunately we couldn't do it. So I think in my last video, or in one of my posts on TradingView, I was talking about making an alert for a candle closing above 64.30 up in this range. We did not get a candle body closing above that area. Our body closed at 64.13. Our wicks did come up here at 64.81, but we didn't get any candle bodies closing up in that range. I mean, I don't even know if we got one in the hourly, because I still have my alerts set. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, we did a candle body, but not above 64.33. So, this was my alert, but then our next bodies just continued to stay below. So anyway, I ended up putting a short in a little bit later, but I did put a short in on this dotted line here, you can see around this 60, because I was like, if this breaks, that's been pretty much holding as support. If this breaks here, it's pretty obvious it's going to come down to 57. So I figured I'd at least short it down to there. And, then my alert started going off for below 57, and I was like, oh boy, this could get a little bit lower than I was anticipating. So right now, if we do end up seeing a bounce here, it's possible we do. We have a little bit of consolidation here, and this could still be, like I said, some type of neckline up in this range. I don't even know where it was. Let me check the 4 hour real quick. So the neckline for me, if this 57 wasn't the neckline, at least by this candle body here at 52.08, you can see that we attempted to close candle bodies above, and we pretty much continued to get rejected. You could chalk it up as high as 54. I'd be watching either 54 or this candle body here that pretty much, when it closed flat underneath it, that signaled a downswing right here. Once we closed it here, boom, drop. So I like to do that sometimes, but like I said, you could look up in this area as well, because we struggled to get above that 54, continue to reject, and then finally we closed this candle above it, and that was when we started rallying pretty good. So whether or not we resort back to this either 53.71 or down to this 52, those are my two areas of potentially adding. And then the reason I like this 52 area is because if we came down and wicked to this 51, this could confirm this uptrending support here if we came down and tapped it again and rallied. Because now it'd be 1, 2, 3 taps on it. What would that confirm for a pattern? It wouldn't be the most bullish looking thing, unfortunately, because I guess you could still call it kind of bullish, because you would still be saying, hey, it's a neckline. This right here could be the neckline to the W pattern still, but it would definitely sketch me out a little more because then we would be looking at, if we lined up some of these wicks right here, we could be just saying that this is just a large rising channel. You know what I mean? So hopefully that makes sense. Bouncing here, double bottom neckline, but also potentially a rising channel that eventually breaks to the downside. But we'll have to see how it plays out. But I am in a short still on this, and I'll probably close it somewhere in this area here. Maybe I'll take some profits right around this where we're at, but I'm kind of just waiting to see. So let's go down to the hourly real quick. You can see we're just getting our first hourly candle body closing. So if we did get a rally back up, we might try to retest this 57. If we can't get back above roughly 57 to 57.80, and we can't start getting back up, we're just coming up and flipping the previous support into new resistance before continuing down. So, you know, for me, I'm not really going to come in here and buy this low right here, because, you know, that's exact reason right there. We're just at the start of this potential breakdown, in my view, but I could be wrong, and then I might have to buy back later if it does flip around. But personally, I'm not too impressed with anything in this right here. If you were to wonder why, I mean, let's just pull this yellow line to where we bounced. So we only had wicks that came up into these range. So if you think about it like that, what does that tell you? That when we came here, it was shorted. Anybody that was buying right here pretty much just sold again because it started falling. So that doesn't really show strong support. An area of strong support potentially is really within this range here. You probably got a lot of buyers right here, and you got a lot of buyers here, and you got a lot of buyers here. So those are the ones that you want to look for, is the areas of the most consolidation, or the areas that caused pretty good rallies. So if you were to draw a box in that range to say, hey, where do I want to pick some up, you could just draw like a green box in here and say, hey, if price reaches somewhere in this zone, I mean, you could bring it up to the consolidation too and say, hey, if price reaches somewhere within this zone, I will be a buyer, anywhere from 50 to 38. That's one way of doing it. Or you could go to the top of it, and, you know, if you want to have an even bigger range of buying, I'll buy it anywhere between this 53 and this 37. You know what I mean? So, but that's just based off of like buying the dip. So for me, I'm going to try to wait for a reversal. If I see this thing come down here and start curling up on an hourly and start looking pretty good, then I will be buying. But right here, personally, I don't think it's, for me, you know, it's not investment advice, but for me, I'm not going to buy right here. I think it'll come a little lower, at least into this range. So I got a buy order down here at 51.09. I got a buy order at 52, somewhere in here, 52.40 or something, or 50, and 53.50. So those are my couple areas that I'm looking to scoop some up to re-add, because my first ads, like I said, were up in this range, somewhere in here and right here. And then I did end up adding to a different trading account up in this range when we closed above this dotted line. I got this run, and I didn't sell any up in the 64s, but then I put a short in here, and I closed out all my longs pretty much in this consolidation right here, because it was looking like bearish consolidation right there. So I was like, all right, I got to get out. As much as I like this trade, I'm out on that with my trading account. My long-term stuff, I'm still holding. So I'm going to look to add to my long-term stuff potentially closer to this white line. And if I see a good trade, I'll try to post something on my trading view. You've seen that I was posting here when price was still up at like 61.71. That was when I said this thing's looking like it's coming down to 57. That's pretty much when I started putting my shorts in. And then same with Bitcoin. Right here, I put a short in 21.450. As soon as we start closing below 21.300, it's looking like we're going to be dropping down. And, you know, right around here, price was around 21.491 roughly. And or maybe right below 21,400. That's when I was posting about that, and now we're down around 21K. So could see further downside, but we'll have to see. And then the BTC dominance is something I'm kind of watching, because this is going to give us a little bit of insight on the altcoins. And something to consider is that I've been seeing nothing but bearish trends here, and it is actually pretty good, because right now it kind of looks like I might have to change these lines up. I was kind of looking at this as a fake out breakdown, but if we were just to kind of look at it like maybe a, I don't know, broadening wedge of some sort, whatever. It's tough to really draw a pattern there because it's pretty choppy. If I go in here, either way, it looks like it's getting rejected right here, which is actually a good sign. So if this thing had like some kind of fake out and it's actually just looking like that, that's just another bear flag. So if this ends up coming in as a top and continuing back down here to move down to my lower support, which is this white line here at 42.50%, let's go on a daily, then this could be signaling that, hey, we're just looking to continue down. That area there is this uptrending support. We had a tap here, we had a tap here, and maybe we're going to get another tap here before rallying back up. That gives us a little bit more time for the altcoins to still continue on their retracements here. And if this thing gets a bounce here, that'll probably end the altcoins for a little bit. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But they've been rallying pretty much since we've broken this top here. Couldn't really hold this as support, and we've been pretty much dropping since. So then you resort back to the same trend, which is here, and maybe up where we're 42 something. So I'm kind of watching that right now. Excuse me. And on my BTC dominance, I was just saying is that I talked about this original pattern, which was this one right here. I was saying it looks like it's going to break down. Alts will continue rallying. It broke down. And then now I was saying it's looking like a bear flag. It says it looks like it's going to be starting to move up because it's starting to consolidate. But it was looking a little bit more bullish right here. I was looking for a push up, and then we had a fake break. But now we're pushing up. And now we're back to the top of it. So you could just play it like that too, but that's not going to give you too much of swings. But I am kind of looking for it to just chop in here a little bit until we get a break, and that could give you one more rally on the alts, maybe on Bitcoin as well. We'll have to see how that plays out. But that's all I got for you. Peace.